Now joined by Coach Don Friday of Penn State Harrisburg after their upset win here at Goldfarb Gymnasium of the 6th-ranked Johns Hopkins Blue Jays in the first round. And first and foremost, Coach, obviously a big win for the program and a big win in the grand scheme of the tournament. But for you guys, how much confidence did you have coming into this that this was doable?
I think in our practices and our games leading up this throughout the year, like our guys have been really steady. We've been a good offensive team. We've been able to share the basketball and try to other guys make baskets for us. But we've been a pretty good defensive team. Dylan Daniels plays in the middle for us, number 22, the lefty. He led the nation in block shots, and what Dylan does, he makes our defense just super tough to get around. And, our kids fed off that. So, coming in and we won a really tight game at home against Lancaster Bible in the third game. I think it had us ready to play and get ready to get into this game.
When you guys came, it seemed like you came out on purpose to try and hit them in the nose. Kind of like a boxer. If you get them in the nose, maybe you take them a step back, they can't recover as quickly. Was that an accurate way? Because that's what it seemed like you were trying to do.
Well, my good friend Ron Verlin, we talked about this a little bit getting ready for this game about, hey, we have to go down there and show what Penn State Harrisburg basketball is all about. And we needed to get some long possessions, and we needed to move the basketball and get them spread out a little bit, and then reading what was going on. I thought Donye and Zeg made some great plays, but Nate Curry, he's not been a freshman. He hasn't played like a freshman for us this year, and he's played like that in a lot of games. So that was really important because you got to set the tone, number one, with the refs. You have to set the tone with them, and then the other part is belief in what you're doing. And it just trickled down, and it was really good because our bench got into it, our staff was into it, and we knew coming in here this was a tough place to play.
Curry's finished with 19 points. Rodriguez was 17. Obviously 14 for Daniels, but it was Baylor. Carroll, 45 points. I know he's a good player. I've seen him play a little bit, and I know he kind of stirs your drink, as it were. But 45 points against Hopkins, was that a reality? Is that something he's capable of doing, or was that even a surprise to you guys?
Listen, to sit here and say that we thought he was going to score 45, I'd be the biggest fraudulent salesman in the country. But we do know that kid can go off for 30 on any given night, and what he was able to do, you got to take away Nate Curry, and you have to take away Dylan Daniels. We have some guys inside that can score, and as people are doing that, and Xavier Scott is tremendous in transition. They really find each other, and it started rolling for him. And that what happened, the momentum started going, and down the stretch, he kept saying, "I want the ball." And he did the same thing with a minute 16 against Lancaster Bible. We're down 5, and he looked over to me and says, "Coach, get me the ball." So at that point, right, we're going to get him the ball, and he's going to make the right play. Like when they doubled him out front there, he found Pedro on a back cut. He's going to make the right play. He's a real clever passer. He has great passing vision, and he takes pride in getting guys shots.
He finished 9 of 18 from beyond the arc, but he had 2 where he was fouled on the 3 and sank all 3 free throws at the line. So in a sense, added 2 more to that line. He made them difficult to beat, period, because he also won them at the line.
We want the ball in his hands, and people are going to have to take him away, and then he's going to find other people. But, as you're chasing him around, and I know that he didn't sneak up on Josh and his staff. Right?
Sure.
They were face guarding him, they were bumping him, they were grabbing, they were holding, doing everything we would try to do to a player like that. He made more plays, and we were very fortunate to be the recipient of that.
Defensively, what did you try to do against Hopkins? Because you definitely had them out of sorts. They weren't shooting well, especially in the first half. Even Delaney didn't seem to be comfortable. You guys threw the zone on at the end of the first half, and they definitely were wasting time on the clock trying to figure it out. What did you have as a mentality, though, going in?
Be a rhythm breaker.
Okay.
And in the beginning, in the middle of January, we were up 24, right? So we looked smart tonight. We're up 24 on Cobleskill at home. We lost that game in the second half, right? Because we stopped making baskets, and we didn't really have a change-up with our defense. And, I swallowed my pride, and we ended up messing around with that zone. My assistant coach, Jeff Frank, does a great job with, he was at Hofstra with Joey Mahalik. He did a great job of helping implement it. And, hey, I know what my strengths are, and I know what his strengths are, and we played off on that, and it's worked. And Dylan Daniels makes it so good, and Zagary puts a lot of pressure on people out there.
About 5.5 minutes left in this game. I remember I turned to a couple people because I thought it was a turning point. They were on a run. There was a scrum for the ball in front of your bench. Your guy gets called for a flagrant in that scrum. Right. So Hopkins gets a couple of free throws. They also get the ball. It's part of a 15-0 run. Suddenly you guys, who've been up 6-8 some odd points, are now down by the similar margin. And I remember thinking, it's over. Right. You guys are out of gas. There's no way here. What changed? You guys called your final timeout with 5.5 minutes left to go in the game. What changed right then and there?
Well, right there we had to stop the bleed in the beginning. And number 2, we had to just get our guys to refocus and recenter and have belief in what we were doing. We got a big stop. Dave, I've been on some back ends of going to Christopher Newport. I've been to Mary Washington. I've been to Salisbury with previous teams, not like this team. But when things like that started to go south, we had guys that would lose their composure, lose their poise, and the trickle-down effect, it would become unraveled. I got a team right now, basically I have one senior who came back for his senior year that didn't play for 3 years in Clinton SIU. I got all freshmen and sophomores. My second best player, Brandon Coleman, he's out for the year with the torn bucket handle of his cartilage, right? So those sophomores and freshmen, we needed to get those guys refocused. And on top of that, Chris Haynes went down with some Achilles tendons, with some tenderness. So we were just trying to get our guys to stay in the moment, be positive, and focus on the next stop. Because with 5:25 to play, looking at it, there's probably about 11 to 14 possessions left in that game. We just need to get the stops. But if we put everything in life and death, hey, that game's going to get away, and then we're done.
You guys had a chance to end it at the end of regulation. It didn't go for you. You had about 3 shots at it. Didn't work. End of first overtime, you guys get a final look. You hit it, but Hopkins immediately goes down the other end and hits their shot. That can be a backbreaker going into the second overtime, but you guys came out on fire.
Listen, did we want that to happen?
No.
But the young man who hit that shot for Hopkins, that's a big-time shot, and that takes a lot of courage.
In traffic.
To make that shot, hey, looking back on it, right, I should have fouled. But in the moment, we've never been in a situation with our freshmen and sophomores. That's on me. We'll be better with that next time.
Yeah, the whole up 3 with 9 seconds left thing. Couple quick notes. I saw you a couple of years ago here at Hopkins as a site rep, and you saw the tournament firsthand. Did you take any of that back to the team?
I have a blue notebook back in my hotel room right now that I keep. I take a lot of notes, right? I'm like Team Xerox. I beg, borrow, steal, and I copy a lot of stuff.
That's coaching, though.
What I was able to take from that thing that night, I was very honest with our assessment. I probably had 2 guys that could have played in that game. We talked about, hey, we needed to get more skilled, we needed to get stronger, and we needed to get more well-rounded, like the guys that basketball was going to be important to year-round. This is a group that I know I could bring into the tournament, and I didn't say we were going to come in here and, we were going to take the Hopkins
but you
and
could
beat
get
them.
there.
But we could get there, we could compete. Hey, just the fact of knowing how shoot-arounds work, just the fact of knowing how the training room works, knowing the fact of how the ticket list and all those things that went into it. I made notes. So when we got selected on Monday, I went in and met with Rashawn. I had all my notes left over from that, and we talked about, hey, we got to get our rosters in. We got to make sure that the tickets don't become a distraction. We have to make sure we get our shoot-around times. When we get there, we got to be super efficient, right? All those things happened and helped, but make no mistake about it, we have some really, really good players. They got us in.
We'll get to the other interesting dynamic of this whole game, but the one last thing I want to talk about, the past that may have helped you now. You guys leave the CAC, which I thought you guys were improving in. It was making you better. You enter the NEAC. I'm not surprised you get the AQ out of there, but how did that prepare you for a game like Hopkins, having gone through the rigors of the CAC, or is this team too young to have that be effective?
John Krikorian made our program and made me a better coach. Matt Hunter has made me a better coach. Andy Sachs, right? Heck of a coach, heck of a human being, made us a better coach because we didn't necessarily have some of the talent those guys had, but we had to make sure that we were able to really micromanage and get our guys in position to be successful. So going into Hopkins, when you go to Newport or you go to Mary Wash or you go to Salisbury or York, it's the same kind of team. We were able to take that with some of our freshmen that are now sophomores this year and build on that. And, hey, I can say that we regretted leaving the CAC, but with the fluidity of that league falling apart and the fear of travel, Rashawn agonized over, our athletic director agonized over that. They had to make a conscious decision for Penn State what was best, and we were a public institution. Not many people.
Not many choices.
Right, not many people were going to take it there, and for us, we're satellite. We have 5,000 students on our campus. To get into our school, you got to have a minimum of 2.9 coming out of high school and 1,000 SAT, right? Now, it's not as selective like a Centennial, but we got to take kids that hit the thing with academics, good citizens, and they got to be able to play at that high level. So the CAC did help us, but we're in the moment and taking advantage of our opportunity right now.
The other big thing that happened tonight, and we've left this to the end, was the fact that there was no crowd here. And to some extent, I feel like that may have played as an advantage to you guys, because when Hopkins was on its 15-0 run or anything big did happen in the game, you didn't have a bank of fans and students down your throats.
I talked to our kids about this morning, right? And we didn't want to major in minor stuff, but that was a pretty big important thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeshiva, we were in flux the whole time. Dave, we come in here this morning for a shoot around at 11 o'clock. And at one point, Alex Mortillo from the NCAA saying, hey, there's a 60-40 chance these games aren't coming off tonight, and you're going to have to go tomorrow, right? I kept it from our kids. We just handled it. My assistants were great, saying, "Coach, stay in the moment." But here's the one thing I would say. We had no idea, my players, right? They don't care about what the environment was going to be coming in here. So there was no expectation for our guys,
Sure.
right? I was here for that tournament game 2 years
You
ago,
heard
right?
how big this place can be.
This is an incredible Division III atmosphere. When I was in Division I St. Francis, I would have killed to have an atmosphere like this, right? We come in here, and I talked to our kids. I said, listen, for us, it's going to be business as usual. For Johns Hopkins, they have to be able to adjust
Right.
and figure out how the environment is. And, you know, for them, what a great year they had. They worked their tails off all year to get into this moment, to win a national championship, and to have a home court advantage like this. Hey, I don't know all the facts, but I'll just say, I'm a nice guy. I'm a smart guy. I'm not going to comment on things I don't control. But not very good for the Hopkins kids. I feel bad for them, but we got to take on. You know, we're not going to apologize. We're going to go and compete against Yeshiva tomorrow.
But you guys made sure to at least add some atmosphere. Your bench, like Yeshiva's in the first game, I know you didn't realize that necessarily, you were vocal.
Yep.
You guys made this place loud. Is that normal, or was there a little added on for tonight?
We made sure it was added on because we were been on our bench, our young kids, like, hey, if you're not playing, you got to be engaged and you got to be making some noise, positive energy. And we had that. We talked about that. You know, again, I talked to Rashawn about that this morning. I talked to my good friend Ron Verlin, and he's like, hey, you got to make sure right from the get-go, you got to be the team that executes, that plays with great energy, and you have to have enthusiasm to go in there. If you're going to be a 15 seed against the two, you have to have those things. But hey, Division III too, it's, you know, we're a little bit of a product of our strength of schedule based on some of the teams in our league.
Yep.
We had some guys injured in the year, like, hey, we expected to compete. You said the other day when we introduced this, you said, hey, battle tested.
Yeah.
And that was one of the rallying points for our guys about being battle tested. And you know what? We're got to be battle tested tomorrow because we got a heck of a team in Yeshiva to go
I
against.
do think you need to adjust because I think you had a couple of comments you didn't think the refs heard, but they heard. I'm saying that in fun because that was a dynamic. You might normally say something at a tone, and then you realize, oh wait, he could, and they gave you. Nobody had any problems. I'm just having a little fun. Yeah. It was an interesting dynamic.
Hey,
though.
we say a lot of things as coaches.
Yeah, you do.
Hey, I say to my wife all the time, hey, don't get a lot of money on the credit card, but what we say and what they do, two different things.
Yeah. True. Quickly about Yeshiva, you've had a chance to look at them. You look at them again tonight. You'll get a shoot around, which they won't. Your thoughts on the Maccabees before we let you go?
Man, offensive, they are tremendous. You know, they really share the basketball. They have tremendous ball movement. They got some big-time players that, you know, our kids will go back. We're going to get them hydrated. We're going to get a little recovery. We're going to ice bath them up, stretch them. We got some medical people with us. And you know what? Tomorrow morning, Dave, one word: opportunity.
Yeah,
opportunity.
Absolutely.
And I told our guys, right? You know, being in the Sweet 16, hey, it's incredible. But hey, Hopkins, they were thinking national championship. Newport, they don't get excited and elated when they just win one game. You got to be able to put some things together, and that's what we want our kids to do.
I appreciate the time. Thanks very much. Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah. Hey, D3 basketball, nights like tonight, some of the best games in the world.
Absolutely agree. Don Friday from Harrisburg here with D3Hoops.com from Johns Hopkins.
Yep.